you walk into a church or a temple or a synagogue or whatever it is you're walking into, you have a perception of who's going to be there, how they're going to carry themselves, and what expectations you might have for those people. And sometimes it comes to light what I do for a living. And my full-time job is I build custom firearms. And so, and maybe I'll go for months, and these newcomers to the ministry won't have any idea about that. And then some of them will say things like, well, it's kind of hard for me to understand that you would be a professing Christian, but embrace these other things which are anti-Christian. And so every now and then you got to set them down and say, well, here's the biblical basis for this within the framework of my faith. And you walk them through it. And sometimes that's helpful. Sometimes they can't get there.
I've had to do that a few times. And again, I explained to them that it is, coming straight from the Old Testament, even that if someone rises up to kill you, you can kill them first. I mean, self-defense is an inherent right that every human being should be able to exercise. And that's something that I explained to them. Now, a lot of people still are like, we're still anti-gun. I'm like, okay, you can be anti-gun as much as you want. That's fine. But I'm not anti-gun, and I will use whatever means necessary to protect me, my family, my community. So leave it at that. Take that as you will.
Okay. Well, I wrote a think piece. It was a blog, and I outlined, I can't remember how I authored it, something like the biblical case for self-defense. And there were New Testament references, whatever else. But to keep it confined to something that you and I would have a lot of common ground on, I offered some Old Testament references. So one of them was, is it okay if I read them real quick?
Sure.
Okay, one of them was Genesis 14, 13 through 16, and it's talking about when Abram rescued Lot, and in KJV anyway, it says he smote, them to recover Lot, the family and the servants. Yes, smote means dispatched, and so it was acceptable, amenable to do what they needed to do in order to rescue somebody from harm's way. And then the one that I like the most probably would be Exodus 22, 2 through 3. And this is what it says in the NASB version. If the thief is caught while breaking in and is struck so that he dies, there will be no guilt for bloodshed on his account. If the sun has risen on him, there will be guilt for bloodshed on his account. A thief shall certainly make restitution. If he owns nothing, then he shall be sold for his theft. So people are like, well, I don't understand what that means. I'm like, if a crime is occurring, if your life's in danger, you can respond to save your own skin or the lives of others. Now, you can't sit back after this thing has occurred and say, I'm going to go proactively now or reactively on down the line and offer some sort of retribution. There's a distinction that I think people need to make. But when you play those things out and you seek the context of what's going on there, they're saying, no, you don't have to sit there and suffer the murder at the hands of somebody else or whatever else. You can. In this case, it says, thief or whatever else, but you don't have to sit there and accept a negative outcome that's being perpetrated on you. You can defend yourself. And in this case, property as well. So I think that there's a basis for those things that should be very easy for people of these kinds of faiths to help balance that equation for people. Do you agree, or have I chosen poorly some items out of the Old Testament?
I definitely agree. All you have to do is look at, again, I'm coming from being an Orthodox Jew, right? All you have to do is go and look through the Old Testament, running from, like you said, Abraham fighting the kings, to Jacob preparing for war, to the campaigns of Joshua and all the prophets and the Maccabees. And Judaism is a warrior heritage. We've never been sheep led to slaughter like we are today. The mentality, that David versus Goliath mentality, is a true Jewish trait that many people have lost. So yeah, there's definitely a precedent for defending your life against any enemy that comes up to kill you.
So, okay, I think that's an important distinction that people need to make, because sometimes people take it to the next level and say, "Well, I just can't imagine that it's okay for you to go kill people." And I try to explain it. I'm like, "Whoa, wait a minute. Self-defense for me is not with killing as a goal. Self-defense is for me, the goal is to stop the threat." And those are
Right.
completely different premises. Those are completely different mindsets, because what these people assume of you and I, Yehuda, is the Pew Pew Jew, is they're assuming that you and I are going to go out there and say, "Yep, I can smoke people. I can smoke them. It's okay." No, that's not what we're saying. We're saying we can stop threats. And what people don't know about us is we almost always are able to pivot immediately to life-saving mode. Would I put a tourniquet on a guy who I stopped a threat against? Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
We do
No,
those
absolutely.
things. So, I mean, it's not that we savor or embrace the loss of life. No, of some sort of attacker. No, that's not it. We seek to stop innocent blood from being shed. So it's important. It's important to make that distinction. And I don't know. Are you having to make these kinds of defensive statements very often, or are people in your community starting to understand these things? Because I don't know if they are or not in mine.
So in Orthodox Judaism, Orthodox Jews tend to believe more in, Judeo-Christian values and the Old Testament and the right to self-defense. Now, that doesn't mean they're all pro Second Amendment necessarily, or gun owners, but a majority of them understand, the right to life and the ability to defend yourself. One big thing that I'm always questioned on, and I always shut them down immediately, is, I always tell people, well, tell me in the Bible where it says you can't kill. And they look at me, with this look of like, I don't even know, this crazy look, like, well, it says it right in the 10 I was gonna say the 10 Testaments, the 10 Commandments. Sorry, it's been a very long day. Yeah, it said, I said, where in the 10 Commandments does it say that you can't kill? And they're like, well, it's the fifth one or sixth one. I'm like, no, it doesn't. It says the Hebrew version, the Hebrew word, the original text is, the word is tirtzach, which means thou shalt not murder or kill intentionally. But nowhere does it say you can't kill. And they're like, well, no, it kind of means. I'm like, no, it doesn't mean. Like, don't try changing the original text. The original text is thou shalt not murder. But it also says in the Old Testament, like we said earlier, if someone comes to kill you, you can rise up and kill them first. So if you were not allowed to kill, then you can't kill animals. You can't kill a fly that's buzzing around your house. You can't kill anything. But that's not the case.
Is the Jewish community really loud about that, or are they not?
Unfortunately, they're not. Loud about what?
About being anti-gun.
So again, if you look at the biggest gun grabbers in the government, right? You have like Dianne Feinstein, you have Bloomberg. Feinstein's dead, but Bloomberg. You have Schumer. You have who else? Blumenthal. All these people who are rabidly anti-gun are technically Jews, but they're not practicing. So they are the biggest gun grabbers, but they don't represent Judaism.
Okay.
What I think needs to happen, and it's something that has been a very, very big uphill battle for me, is more Jews need to be vocal in defense of the Second Amendment. It's not enough to just be a gun owner. You need to be out there defending the two-way, because if any people should be defending the Second Amendment, should be Jews. But unfortunately, they don't. There's very few of us in the gun world, or in America, that are vocally out there defending the Second Amendment and locking arm in arm with other gun rights organizations. And I think that needs to change. And it's something that I've been working very hard at, but it's kind of hard to do when you're doing it by yourself,